Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to wire up an E39 engine and an E36, an M52 that's come from an E39 for to say buying a wire loom. I'm going to show you how to wire up basically. So here I have a 318 automatic which I've just put an E39 engine in. I did not have an E36 loom and they're like £100 to buy right now, so I'm just going to wire this one up. So when you take this E39 engine out of the old motor, you're going to keep these plugs. Obviously when you take the engine away from the car, you're left with that, but you want these plugs off the car for to then go and adapt later. I'll get to these in a minute, right, but you're only going to use two of these, you only got to use these two. And when you took out said 1.8 engine from here, you're going to keep the wire loom, and we'll just take this over and dissect it in a minute and show you what I do with this. Every time I'm doing an M57 swap, an M54 swap, anything like that, I always take a 1.8 loom and keep the X20 plug with fuel pump relay intact. Keep these two together. So I'll take you over to the floor and show you what we're going to do with the wires in a minute. So basically I've done this before, obviously I've done this 100 times, so if I'm going to put an M54, M57 or an E39 M52 or even a 1JZ, I've done this with my 1JZ before as well, I'll take a 1.8 loom and trim it down and make it bare minimum so you're left with something like this, and all you're doing is joining this to this and make it all communicate with itself. So let's go over to the floor, and I think I'll just start with this because it's half done already. So we'll go over to the floor now and we'll start deepinning this, and I'll show you what's involved in this side of it before we go stripping the E36 loom. Right, so here we have the E39 stuff. Right, so straight away, we only want these two. These two are naturally together, so just got to do that with that. Right, you can leave them together, however, I'm going to separate them for a minute. So in this plug, this white plug, I think we refer to this as C101, I'm not sure, I will double check. However, we're going to use every pin in this plug, possibly except this red and white. I'll explain what that does in a second, but I'm just going to separate these plugs. So there's these tabs in here that you need to push back for to separate these. Once you let the tabs down, that black one will slide down the way. Alright, so we've only got to use 3 wires in this part, and let's just separate that bit of tape. We've only got to use 3 wires in this part. So here, you see, if you just slide this part down, right, then it's almost like an E46 pedal wire, you know, for to get like the ECU and an E46, it's almost like that. So we then need to, how you come out, man? We'll take this full cover off this thing. So I've took the slide out, right, so now I just have to take the full cover off, just to work out how this, slot this back. See, that slots back like that. It's just a protector. Right, so in here, all we're looking for is black with a green line. That's start feedback, i.e. when you turn the starter, it sends power up this wire and it shuts down all relays inside the car so it can get full cranking voltage to the starter. Right, you're looking for green brown, which is oil pressure, and looking for a straight skinny black. The rest of them you can deep-in, so we've only got to use 3 wires on this. And how you're going to deep-in this, and I've got to look at the camera when I'm doing this so I can show you properly. How you're going to deep-in this, it's just if you've done an E46 or that before, it's the same kind of pin, so you're going to push this little tab down in there and pull the pin down. So we only want to be left with these 3 wires on this plug. The rest is obsolete. So instead of cutting them down and leaving bare wires, we're actually going to deep in here. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly deep in this. Push the tab down, pull the pin out. Sometimes you have to push it down twice at its next. It's got like an early bit where it would catch, so it's like it catches there, comes out, catches, and then comes out again. So it's just like a double push. You push it, it releases it from one part, and then you push it at the next part because it gets stuck again. You're just pushing down a little tab for it to release the pin. I will maybe just time lapse this part. As long as you guys know how to get the pins out, we'll just time lapse it so it shows me it doing it super fast. So that's us left with 3 wires on this. So straight black, RPM, black with a green line, start feedback, and your green with the brown line is oil white. And these wires are all going to make sense as soon as you see the X20 diagram because it's colour to colour. This has got to be colour to colour. So then you're going to slide your wee guy back on, like that, and then slide him up there. That's them wires safe again, so there's 3 wires done there. So when we get to this part of the plug, we have got a switch live, which has got the same colour on E36, right? Now this one, this is red and white, right, but this is different. This can switch live to something for you. So when you switch live to when you switch live to these two, when the main relay wakes up on the E39 engine, it can give you power back out of this one. This basically goes inside the car and powers like a fuel pump relay, switch live, or aircon, or both. Right, so on top of that you're going to have a straight thick black, which is starter. You're going to have your white with purple, which is your OBD wire. Then you're going to have 2 for temp, which are the same as E36 again as well. These are all going to colour match straight across. You have blue to turn the alternator light off. This black purple is to bring on the fuel pump relay, but we'll get to that in a minute. And this green white is needing a switched live to excite the alternator, then turn the alternator light off. Right, so that's that part done. So we're left with these 2 plugs and basic wires. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 wires or something. Okay, this is a 12 pin plug. 12 pin plug minus 2 already. So there's 10 wires, so there's 9. So we have 12 wires, 3 there and 9 here. This one optional. If you need to use it, use it. If you don't need to use it, then just cut it and cap it off. You can take these out of here, but they're a bit of a pest to get out of there. So moving on, let's get the E36 loom. Right, so moving on to E36 loom, but 1 second. What I forgot to say was on this black plug from the E39 stuff, there will be a diagram for this, right? And anything, every one of my videos, I always upload stuff to a Google Drive and you will get all pin numbers for this. So your oil white is pin 1, RPM, which is straight black, is pin 6, and then pin 14 is start feedback. But this will all make sense by the time we get into this loom. And like I said, everything, by what I mean by colour to colour, if it's black on this side, it's going to be black on the E36 loom. If it's black and green on this side, it's going to be black and green on the E36 loom. If it's green and brown on this loom, it's going to be green and brown on the E36 loom. It's a really easy job if you understand wires, but that's what I'm here for. And being honest with you guys, I didn't used to like wiring either. Now I actually love doing wiring. So let's go and start taking this loom to bits. So this is a 1.8 loom. You can see I have cut it off here, but that's fine. I only need so much of this, but I always just take it to bits the same way. So I'm just going to start by unpopping this open. This loom is actually from an automatic, but if it was from a manual, I would leave these bits on because I would be chasing the wire for make the reverse lights come on as well, but this is from an automatic, so we're not going to worry about that. And because the car is an automatic, I'm going to show you how to fix the reverse lights inside the car later. Again, we're going to lose this because we've got an E39 engine, right? But don't worry about it, it's going to take care of itself by the end of the video because we're putting an OBD2 port inside the car. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that all in one video. Right, so we're just going to cut the zip ties for here, and it's not needed. So all these wires are free, so I'm just going to pull this up. If it's ready to go. Remember guys, be careful when you're using standard leads, especially when you're in the garage alone. And if you do go to slice something, just be sure you're not slicing wires. Now, you could probably buy a loom adapter that does stuff like this, but where's the fun in that? You want to be able to say, I built that car, actually wired up as well. There's more satisfaction in saying you've done all that stuff yourself. Right, so, technically this is all I need. Right, but I just like to leave the wires as long as possible, so really I just need, if you see, there's the ECU plugs. I only need this, but what I like to do, I like to cut it as long as possible so you have long tails to work with. So by the time you take these long tails, add up to their long tails, you're not having to extend wires. You're going to put the ECU in the ECU hole, put the ECU cover on it, put the battery tray in if you've got battery in the engine bay, and you've got to start doing wiring. But we'll get to that part, but it'll make more sense the more you see it going. So I'm just going to snip this here. And we're recycling a loom that would have just went to the bin as well. Right, there's what we need. That can go in the scrap bin. That can go in the scrap bin. So from here we're only keeping the X20, which is the one that has most pins used inside here, whereas the one from the lot only has like 8 pins used or something. So we are then going to cut all this plastic stuff off of here, cut all the relays off it except the one which has a fat green and purple, because that's going to go back through the X20. This one takes power inside the car for the fuel pump for us using E36. So I'm just going to take my time and get this off. Try and do it a less dangerous way. A fresh Stanley blade is always best for this job as well. It's a bit cold for that, like it's cold in here today. Get a tug at him. That gets rid of some wires and it buys us some space to run down here with this. Key man. There's an earth, right? We will use that later, right? Keep that. Again, there's a live, we will use that later, so keep that. So we're just going to untape these relays, because a couple of them is going to come out, but the one that's not going to come out is the one that's still connected to the X20. So we only want this one in the middle that has a thick green and purple coming out of it, because that's power to fuel pump. That actually takes power back through the car via pin 14, I'm sure it is, and powers the fuel pump when you put the key on. So straight away there's one out of the equation. We don't need it, so I can go in the pile. There's another one to come out of here. Right, there's another one not needed. And these two are kind of linked together. Right, so we're just going to unlink this one that's on a skinny wire, and we will recover this later. It'll be covered anyway, but so at that as close as you can. There's another relay for the bin, leaving you with this, but we still want all this off. So I'm going to chase this off, so we're just left with wires. It'll give you a better idea of what we're doing as well, and then I'll take you and show you how to depin this to the bare minimum that we need. Just temp, RPM, oil light, battery light, start signal, start feedback, OBD wire. And we're actually going to uncover this as well. So now these have been here years, so they're a bit stuck. Sometimes you have to go round them a little bit first before you actually get them off. And just got to pull this rubber back. We're keeping this rubber on because this has got to keep the plug protected, but we will be taping it later. Right, so we're just going to pull that back and get rid of this plastic bit and keep just the rubber part. So we're left with this. At this stage, yes, it is still looking scary, but it's not scary, trust me. So we're going to go and take half the pins out of this because we don't need that. There's only 12 there, so we technically only need 12 here. Right, and then your fuel pump relay, which is staying like this, so it's going to get constant life to the battery. Right, anything that's straight red goes right to battery. There's a red and white, which should get switched on when the key is on. So you can take that from one of these in here, or this is where this part comes in, where you could take it from here. You know, this one, but that wire's too thick to go to that, so I have another way to do it, but I'll show you once I get in here. And then your other one, this is where I refer to pin 85. This is pin 85, so when this has a constant live and it's switched on by a switch live, right, it's one switch away from putting power into the car to put the fuel pump on. So when I refer to pin 85 on the fuel pump, that's when this guy's going to come in, because this guy's going to send a signal to you from this black and purple wire. That's going to connect to him. So when you wake up everything there and you wake up the E39 loom, that's going to trigger a ref into that and bring on the fuel pump. That's you. So I'm going to stop this part of the video here. I'm going to show you how to depin this part to bare minimum that we're going to use. And then we'll take the stuff over to the car and start doing some wiring. I'm going to put it in the engine bay first and start doing some wiring, but get rid of all the junk. Right, so here I have my X20 diagram, right? So not used, not used, not used. If you're going to use aircon, you can use this pin to use aircon, but I don't use it. Not going to use, not going to use, not going to use, not going to use. Not going to use because our speed signal deleted ECU. If it was a manual, I would use this, right? So that's reverse light signal. And you'll be taking reverse light switch from this. This is for data link connector and the reverse light signal. So basically when that wire touches that wire, basically you put it in reverse, these two wires touch, and that's what brings the reverse lights on. Again, this diagram will be in my Google Drive. There'll be a link in the description of this video showing you this diagram, and I have a diagram for the E39 side as well. But the diagram I think was very basic, so at the end of it has 14 to 15, but it makes sense when you actually see the diagram, because the diagram I found, it missed the start feedback wire. So I'm going to go ahead and depin this. So in here, it may be hard to see on video, right, but we have pin numbers just above the pins. So there's pin 1 is there. There is a number just above the pin. It's a bit hard to see on the video, but that's pin 1. It says it should be empty, but because it's automatic, it's not. But to double check you're on the right pin, say go to pin 3, and it should be like grey with a purple line. So there you go, you'll know there, that's pin 3 because it's grey with a purple line. So we're just going to start on pin 1. So what you're going to do here, if you look inside here, you see this ring in the middle? See this? Well, there's a bit here where you could put a screwdriver in and just click it open. Hold on, can't remember what way it goes. You click it anti-clockwise. When it clicks, you hear it clicking. Sorry, that's pins released. They're not released, you still have to push them out, so I'll show you again because that wasn't on film. So they're open just now, so as it clicked shut, I'm going to come back round and find it again, and you hear it clicking, and that's open. Open, so that's pins open. And you could use something like this. This is just a pokey tool, like dentist tool or whatever. And we're going to go for pin 1 and just buy. So pin 1 out, 2, buy, 3, buy. I'm going to go to the other side now that I've showed you how to do that. Right, so just raising pins. Pin 3, go pin. Pin 4, aircon, I'm not going to use. Pin 5, so we're actually not using nothing until 11 and 12 on this, because if you were a manual you would keep pin 10, which would be blue yellow, because that's for reverse lights. Right, so 9, 10 are empty, so 11, 12, yes, 13, yes, 14 says it's not used, but it is used here, but we're going to get rid of it because we ain't going to use it. $15, yes, and then in the middle ring, 16. 16s are no, right, but this could be used as another switch live. It's white with yellow, and it does have power when you turn the key. But depending on, when you get to pin 21, which is, the description for it is switch 12 volt plus ECU power, ECU pin 49, right? This is one pin, right, but it comes out one thick pin and turns into two small. So that's basically two powers from that. And if you want to add another one to it, you're fine to add another one to it, because look at that gauge of wire. It could fire up another one of them. So we're going to do with pin 16 right now, and we're not going to use it. So 16, and it's white yellow. White yellow, bye. From there, 17 going to use. The only other thing we're not going to use is number 24, which is white with a black line, which is fuel consumption. You won't make that work. You maybe would, but I don't, and I'm not interested in it working either. So you've got to go to 25 and come back 1 and go 24. Boom. Now that you've done that, pull them out, throw them away, and look. Basic wires.
What's this going to
tie up. Every one of these has got to tie up to a colour here and be tucked away nice. So again, once you're finished with this, just find the tab again, and we're going to go clockwise locks it and anti-clockwise unlocks it. So that's me clicked over and locked. Alright, so now I'm going to, let's go to the car for a second. So, 2 seconds, I'll take this off the stand. Sorry guys, the camera cut out when I moved that there. So here, this is a bone stock E39 loom, untouched except on this part here, where it usually go into the ECU box here. I've cut off like a little square of rubber and I've retaped this cover here. I've retaped this just so that you know, the wire cover can't slide back or that, so it's taped up. I've also just to tidy the wiring a bit, everything needs to stay together. I've retaped that. I've taped a little bit of this, except I've left this live out because this is the point. This is the part where you're going to extend a live from the battery into here. You're going to extend an earth into here as well, just into this hole and no more. So this is where these parts here is going to come in handy from the E36 loom, because you're going to reuse wires. Right, so there's that live wire, so they've got a loop on one end, so all I need to do is loop it on the other end, and you can either, because I'm battery in the bay, I can power this from the top battery connector. Also, because this car was a 4-cylinder, I've used the original 4-cylinder battery cable. So as you can see here, I have the 4-cylinder battery cable on the starter already, which is going to come up to the battery here. It's going to then power the relay box itself with its own live, and there's a 10mm nut on the top of here, which that you can then use there for the take inside and power him in there, which needs to be this. He's going to get a live, and this guy here, he's just going to get an earth. So you just got to extend that out and put it in the factory position. But this is why we keep, you don't throw this away, because you've got to put an eyelet on each end, and you're going to use this and just extend that into there. You won't need to cover that, however I'll still cover it as an earth, right, but definitely 110%, 200% be covering that, because you can't have that touching the body anywhere, because that's going to be a constant live, which is going to be feeding power to these fuses, a constant live into this relay here, and there'll be a constant live going into this relay as well. So when you switch power to it via this, it's going to wake up this relay, wake up that relay. It's going to give you power back out this red white if you're going to use it. So at this point, we're going to start tucking wires away, but I'm going to show you a little what you need to do here. So on the scuttle panel tray, I've cut this out, right, because our first bit E39 wiring is going to go in through, if you see there, so we're going to go under there and in to the ECU hole first, but we don't need that one right now. But the wires have to fit in there. So what we've got to do, we're going to put the ECU in the hole, tuck all these wires in. We're going to plug everything together and then come back out and work here with the wires. The wire's going to come. So basically going all this loom here, everything here, right, is going to go through this hole up into the ECU hole. And everything that we've just cut and made is going to come back out here, the side of here. So you're going in with the engine loom and back out with the conversion part of the loom, if that makes sense. The more we go, the more it'll make sense, right? So I'm going to place my wiring in the hole. I'm going to plug my plugs together, and then we're going to start doing some wiring. So I'll be back in 2 seconds once I post that wiring through that hole. I'm just going to take that scuttle panel back off because it kind of gets in the way for putting the wiring in. That's like you put that back on at the end when you're finished. It's naturally going to fit there anyway, because this cable is going to go inside there, no problem. We've got to plug the ECU in, plug these 2 plugs here that's needed in, and it's still got to leave us access to get our live and our earth when we need it, and then we'll finish that at the end. Right, so I'm going to tuck my wiring away, go put my battery tray in, plug my X20 plug in this black and white plug from the E39 side. plug these two in, and then we're going to start doing some wiring. Right, so as you can see, ECU is tucked away. I put this in just to show you guys, right? There's loads of space here. No, the only other thing we've got to be doing is putting a live and an earth into these two extra terminals here. So from here on out, it's colour to colour. Alright, so you're just going to match colours up. So, X20 plug. I'm going to plug him in. Always seems to sort of shook at me, man. Come on, you Sparky. Click that together. And then start doing wiring. I'll leave that out of the way, and then you're just matching them to them. So what I like to do at this point, obviously I'll just pick a colour and match it, pick a colour and match it. What I do try and do, I do try not to leave, you know, these are going to get soldered together, right? So I do try not to leave, you know, every wire at the same bit, because by the time you go to tape your wiring at the end, you'll end up with a big bulky bit. So I'll take like, say, the shortest wire in here or the shortest wire here, and I'll connect up, and then I'll make sure the next bit of solder gets connected slightly staggered from that, so that obviously by the time if you soldered all these wires together at that point, by the time you taped your nice loom, it'd be really fat here. So I try and stagger them a little. So now we're just going for colour to colour connections, except this straight red on the relay for the fuel pump is just going to get an eyelet on it, and I think this is the one where I'm sure I take this one to the relay box, and then the other live that comes out of there I take to the top of the battery. So then we're just looking for a switched live for this, which we'll get in here from this pin 22. Pin 22 can switch 2 things on. You can add another thing to it as well, so it can switch 3 things on. So I think I'm going to do that. I'll show you as I go, and then your switch pin here is going to be what I say. It's going to be black and purple on this one. I'm going to put that to there, and that's going to bring fuel pump on. So I'm going to get my soldering gear and that out, and I'm just going to start soldering stuff together. I will probably time lapse the solder stuff, but I'll show you like the joins and stuff like that. I'll usually connect 1 or 2 wires, solder them, and then I'll connect another 1 or 2 wires and solder them. And as I go, I just keep my bit of loom. I'll probably go and tape this just now. So there's a wee ring of tape there, a ring of tape there, so I can kind of keep it to tidy spec. I like to, this relay, I like to have that relay hanging where the relay should hang. So I usually hang that up and kind of do some wiring round about it. So there you go, relays in. So this is where I'll come to here, and I'll tape that there, because that's going to go in there and be tidy, and then I'll loop this round in a circle. It doesn't matter if you've got too much at the end, because it can actually tuck back in here, because I've actually pulled that back out just now. So it doesn't matter if you've got too much, because you can literally wrap it round in a circle under the battery tray and then back into itself. So don't worry about it. You want to have long wires to start with. So I'm going to go and get the soldering gear out, and I'm just going to sit here, grab 1, solder 1, or grab 2, solder 2, and just see how I go. I'll do all the ones that's like straight fixes first, i.e. blue to blue, black to black, stuff like that. I'll do that first before I say, when I come to the powers, I need 3 power outs, and I've only got 2 power outs. I'm going to add 1 extra to that. So if I do any time lapse in here, I will not time lapse the part where I've added an extra power to pin 21. Alright, so I'm going to go and set the soldering stuff up, and I'll try and get the camera a little closer so you can actually watch me solder. Right, so what I've just went ahead and done there, just while I was actually having a look at it there, and I was like, right, I'll just do this right now. So the red-white switched live, which comes off the relay here, I've pulled the wire up through here, because this is the part where I'm saying about that can power 2 things but 3 things, because that's a fat wire powering 2 small wires, but I can add 1 to it. So I'm going to add 1 to it, but I'm not going to put that on right now, but it's there ready to be put in basically. So I'll come back to that later. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my tape, and I'm going to tidy this part of the wire, and as my relay switch you know, my earth for the relay trigger is the shortest wire. I'm going to start with that wire, then all the wires will be slightly shorter than that, or maybe a tad longer, just as long as the, you know, all the heat shrinks don't meet at one point, because then by the time you do that, your wire's got to be really bulky at one point. So I'm just going to plug this back in. Keep this wire out of the way first. Plug my X20 plug back in. Why are you so awkward to go in, man? Just go home, it's your home. Hello. Right, so X20 plugged in. Keep the relay green and purple out of the equation right now, along with that red white I said about, because that's going to get pulled shorter eventually. Right, so I'll just make that nice and tight. Get a light plug in my fabric tape. Just one quick flap there. And one quick flap here somewhere just to keep the wires tight. If they're tight, it will kind of keep them in a kind of length for you. So from here, you're going to here. Ignore that the new. Yeah, this is the red white from in here, but you're not going to use it, so I've kind of tucked it down there out the way, but I'm going to cap it when we're in there and I'm finished. So, you can stay the way as well. So I was talking about the shortest wire, alright? So here's my shortest wire. So I kind of need this to be the first wire connected. So this one is going to go to, you know, the white 12-pin plug in here. The black and purple wire in there is for that. So I'm actually got to make this the first connection. So this is black and purple. I'm unsure of the pin, but it tells you on the diagram what it does, right? And this is one of the only ones that's not colour to colour. Anything that's not colour to colour, I'll keep you right on that on the way. And this one is pin 85 really. So when soldering, what I like to do is get like 20mm copper wire each side. 20mm copper wire showing, right? Again, 20mm copper wire, and I kind of take them at the middle and make an X. Twist one way and twist one the other way. So do that one that way, and that one that way. And there's the first wire ready to solder. That kind of gives you a base of where you're going to go with your wires. So that's the first one. So let me just pick one out of here and we'll just do another one. So let's just go blue, straight blue to straight blue. We'll do that now. So we'll just kind of get a rough length and see where we can go with this guy. If that can tuck in there with that, nice. I might just add a quick bit of tape to that. Just so it's actually with my X20 wiring. And I know the length are going to be nice. True at least. Right, so keep that bit of wire on there, and let's just say we'll take blue and we'll find straight blue here. So just say that's the length of the wires to be right, so I actually need to untape that one then, if that's how it's going to be. So before they start turning the corner, let me just tape them all together again. Sorry guys. It's a footery job, but you could be paying £300 for a loom. This is what I'm here for, to save you. I'm not paying £300 for a loom. So this is the first dictation of where the wire's going to go, right? So what I want to do with this wire is either go slightly longer with it or slightly shorter. I don't know what I go shorter just yet, so I'm going to go longer with this one. Always remember your heat shrink before you go twisting wires together too. And then find your straight blue here. As I do this as well, I try and if it looks tangled with another one, I try and make them not be tangled. I know they're all individual wires, but they can still have somewhat kind of a wee tangle on them. I don't like that. So let's solder to. So we've got fuel pump trigger and battery light. Turn off the battery light. We'll solder these two right now. I'm going to move the camera somewhere else so you can see a little better as well, because I feel like I'm getting in the way every time. Nice. I do feel like my solder's dying. Watch this, filled it with gas, bought a tin of gas on the way here and everything. Just I've got to grab my lighter just to seal them up. Soldered, good, proper. None of that nonsense. Right, so just to save time guys, because I feel like the video's getting pretty long right now, right? Anything that's not going to be colour to colour, that's going to need a wee explanation of why, I think I'll do that right now. Right, there's the starter wire, that's the thickest wire of the bunch, except saying that the green one's pretty thick as well. But our starter wire is black and yellow, but it's like the thickest wire in the bunch. We'll leave that to the end because that's to get a nice solder. I need to make sure there's loads of gas for that. So what do we have that's not colour to colour? Now, this thickest green from pin 22 is going to go to this thickest green from here. Right, so again, just kind of follow the length that you've got there and make a decision on where you've got to cut it, just to stagger the solder. So I'm going to go over here, go a little past it, right? Here, I can pull out a little, so there we go, here with that one. So this is, it's not straight colour to colour, but it kind of is. Like this is straight green, that's green and white. They both need a switch live, so I'm just going to do it right now. I need a thicker solder for this. Thicker heat shrink, sorry. And then the rest of them, I think I would just time lapse because I feel like the video is taking too long already. Half of you guys will be leaving unless you really need to do this. And I feel like wasting you guys' time. I know it's all about learning and stuff like that, but I feel like I'm wasting everybody's time at the same time. Get some gas for that too. Right, so when we're getting this heating up, we can look at what we're going to do next. There's another green and white which needs switched power, which we're just going to take from a small green here. We have small straight greens here, which will power that. There's a black and green here as well. That's actually a green and black. They two need switched power, so they can go straight onto straight greens here. Possibly do they two next. Heat shrink's on. I think solder's so fascinating. So you just put like loads on the actual solder now, and when there's enough there, you just see it like soaking up into the copper, man. It's so cool. Lovely. Same, I always like to, my heat shrink, I always need to make sure the middle of the heat shrink is like exactly where the solder is. Right, so there's that one taken care of, and the wires are, as you can see, the same length, just staggered in the solder, you know what I mean. Isn't that nice? Right, so black green colour match, that's a colour match. White purple's a colour match. That's colour match, that's colour match. RPM's colour match. So I'm going to time lapse these ones, right? The ones that's not colour match but kind of need a wee explanation, I'm going to connect now, where you guys can actually listen to what's said. So we're free to connect. So we have two straight greens, which is the pin 21, which is one thick wire which taps into two, right? So from here, we need it to hit a green with a white stripe and a green with a black stripe, right? They both has to get switched power. So these will be the next ones to do. And on top of that, we have starter, E36 starter is black with a yellow line. E39 starter is straight black. So we'll do these and then I'll quickly time lapse them. And then we're only left with solder this guy here to our, you know, our extended lives and earths, which are just to come out. One for chassis, one for battery, or the this wee guy here, and solder the switch live to pin 22. So we're making it have 3 outlets. So let's go ahead and we'll just do starter while we're on the fat wire topic. And again, before I do it, I kind of like to untangle it, so it's like in a nice position. So I'll cut this one here. We have a blue guy because it's flat. And then I'll stretch this round here beside this wiring to say I want this black guy to be this length. Start letting that solder heat up again. Seems to be a guzzler for gas, this thing. However, we've got a filter in there, let's send it. Hit black, make sure it's not tangled. Right, next, 2 greens. These 2 greens to be these 2 guys. I've actually got to leave this one, its original length, and I'm going to trim here instead, so let me make you can stay his full length, and you can go for this. Maybe get a mess at the end of that one, but I'll nip it. Right, so connect him. Right, find the next green. I'm going to take him further in this time, so if he could be at the length there. And we'll go just nip the end of that. Right, so they 2 ready to solder. Right, so I'm going to start time lapsing now. Right, the only thing I have noticed here is, which I forgot to tell you guys, is I've left a white with a green stripe out, right, which is data link S service light reset, right. So this is just kind of got to get left. This is not going to get connected, but this is something that you'll come back to later. And when you want to reset the service light, you're basically just going to hold that off earth, and it's got to reset the service light on the instrument cluster. That's how you're going to do that. So technically this wire has no use, right? But the rest of them are colour to colour. So we have brown purple, which fits a brown purple here. We have a white purple, which fits a white purple there. We have a straight black, which goes straight black. We have a black with a green stripe, which goes black with a green stripe. We have the oil white one, which is brown with a green stripe. And we have brown with a yellow, which is the other temp wire. So these are all colour to colour from here on out. So I'm just going to stagger them, but from here on out, I'm just going to time lapse. I'm just going to time lapse the rest of it. The rest of this part anyway. And I'll stop time lapsing when I come back to soldering this and kind of get a length. This is just the switched live for the relay. And then I'll come back to this as well, which I won't be time lapsing for. So I'm going to time lapse for this next bit, guys, just to speed stuff up, because Jesus, that part's been like 20 minutes. Right, that's me all connected. Now it's starting to look like something. I have untaped some of it, right? And I've cut back this white green so it could just be like earthed on the chassis here. So all that's left to do, obviously tape it up, but where you can see where the relay sits down here, right? If you looked at where the relay it dangles its wires down, so you basically get to loop this part and start taping it into here, right? But minus, keep that white, keep the white and green out. We'll keep that out so it can be separate for the pack, so it can get earthed off the chassis for it to reset the service light on the clocks, alright? So all that's left to do now is unplug this. I'll just take this relay off there just now. So unplug that, and this red wire here, I'm just going to solder that to there, and it has its own little cap that can go over the top of it. So I'm going to do that right now. Find my snips. And then that'll be the relay getting its own switch live. I'm just going to burn into the side of this bit of green wire and just wrap this around it and make sure it gets covered well. So I've got my red guy onto here. Right, I'll give that a quick solder. Hopefully you can see that there. Yes, just. I'll get that a quick solder, I'll cover that back up. Right, so if this doesn't cover that properly, we will just get a heat shrink from here. So I'll take a red one because it's pretty fat. And what I like to do with anything that's been like a live heat shrink, I'll take this and I'll fold that piece over and I'll put another one right over the top of it. Then we know it's not going to touch anything. I actually get to be smart and put its own green guy over it, and that's too big now. So that's us. So we can go back, plug it in, start taping this stuff. This part here, when you've got the relay hung up and this plugged in, you will see what's left here, so you can kind of start taping that there, and you're just taping that into there as a U shape, but remember, keep this white green out. We're going to keep that out of the loom, we're going to tape past it. But what we're going to do, we can now put the cover back on. We can put this cover right back on here now because we're finished in there. But what I like to do, I like to pull that down and start taping underneath it, and then come back and tape over that, up over the top of that. Then we can pull the wire tight here and just tape all the way into there. And that's us finished, except constant live here. We've got a constant live to take in this gap here, right? And we've got the same, an earth to take into there. And instead of using two new ones of these, I'll just put both these wires together and just take that in there. We'll hook that up. So I'm going to put my cover back on and start taping stuff up. So I'll possibly just time lapse this bit again, and then I'll stop time lapsing when I need to cap this red and white, cut it down and cap it with one of them, and then just do the three eyelets to do, and then we could tape the wires, and that's us done. Wiring's done, except we're then going to go inside the car. I'm going to show you how to get reverse lights working on an automatic chassis, and I'm going to show you how to wire an OBD port inside the car. So let's time lapse that part. And there you have it. Plugs into E36, plugs into E39. I need to cap this red and white here. Touch this off the chassis, it resets the service light. I have to put an eyelet on that and put it to either the battery or the relay box. And then I've just got to extend that for the power that goes inside the cab, and that for the earth that goes inside. So 3 eyelets to do and we're good. We can tuck the ECU away for good. Right, moving on. So I'll put all the loom back in place. I'll do these eyelets. So I'll put the loom back in place, I'll cover the ECU hole, but I'll uncover the window panel again so I can work with these two specifically first. And then I'll trim this down and put the eyelet on it and decide if it's for the eyelet on the battery or the eyelet on the relay box. So the choice is relay box or battery terminal. I'll choose and I'll decide. Okay, so we have an eyelet on this up to the relay box with the top battery terminal. We have this live here, which is going to go there when the battery's in. And we also have this earth here, which goes in here and earths that. This is the live one, which goes in for the constant lives there. So he's going to go on top of there like that. He's in there, so I can put this cover on now and put a zip tie on the coil pack loom, and then we can move into the inside of the car and I'll show you how to get the reverse lights working and how to wire an OBD2 port into an E36. So I'm going to tidy up this bay and then we'll jump into the inside. So that's the engine bay side pretty much done. I say to put an induction kit on it. I'm waiting on oil coming so I can get a service. When it's first start up it needs bled, water, bled, power steering. But as you can see, you can't really tell that it's E39 engine, except the telltale is you have no loom box here anymore. And look, it's all fairly tidy. Live up to there, earth to there. You've got a wee white tail down there for resetting service light later. Just shortly I'll get on to OBD port inside the car, and because the car was auto we're going to pick up the reverse lights at the gear shifter. We'll jump onto that next, but I just want to finish off the bay before I moved any further. So I'll get this serviced, bled up, power steering, bled up for water, get a test drive and stuff like that, get up to temp. Service the oil, got an oil filter there, just waiting on good 1060 coming for the engine, and I'll get outside and wash it and give the customer a call and get him his car back. Right, OBD port next, let's go. Right, so we are inside the car. I've got the starter bridged right now. So this is pin 1 gets bridged to pin 3 and that'll let the starter turn over. Without that pin in there, it still thinks it's in drive. So it'll switch on, but it won't turn over on the last turn of the key. So I'll just put that back in, just for a temporary quick start. I'm actually going to do this part at the EWS box, so this part's like irrelevant, but I just want a quick test start for to make sure everything's alright. And also you can see here, I've brought through the tunnel my reverse plug, which is already plugged into the gearbox, right? You've got a white with a green line and a blue with a yellow line. You find these on pins 6 and 7 on this plug. If you look underneath there, there's the blue with the yellow, and right next to it is the green with the white. you just got to connect them up to colour. Your reverse lights is going to work. So we'll get a quick test fire up of this now. Boom. Also, since there's no gearbox, we have this, the cog is on, but before this job's finished, I will take the clocks out and just take that bulb out. It's just quite looking for the gearbox. It knows that it should be an automatic and it's not automatic now, so that's us. So if I take this back out now, it won't start again. But we're going to be going into here to the EWS box, and we're going to bridge the two thick wires, which lets the starter work at all times, and we're also picking up our power and OBD wire for our OBD port from the EWS box, but we'll get to that part. So I'm going to go ahead and solder these to these pins so the reverse lights work, and then we'll move on to OBD port. But I was just looking for a quick fire up there, so I'll turn it back off, but it's not going to start again because notice we don't have these pins. So off, battery light will come on, but last turn of the key you get nothing. Right, so I'm not going to, there's no point in you sitting watching me solder these. I've told you pin numbers, they're clearly colour to colour as well, so I'll do that. I'll put the gator on the gear stick, and then we just need to go behind the glove box and do the OBD port, and I'll show you what we do with the OBD port, and what we do with the EWS box to get power and OBD wire and stuff like that to the OBD port, and how we get the starter to work constantly without too many wires under here all bridged and stuff like that. So let's go in there. So we are now inside the car. We've got the glove box out to get to the EWS box. Why? Because I'm going to bridge the starter wires together. Because the car was not automatic, I'm going to bridge the two starter wires together, and I'm going to attach OBD2 port in here so we can read codes to the car. So EWS box, they're always in this place, right? And the plug colour is either this maroon red kind of colour or yellow. If your car is after 1999, it's on the driver's side behind the clocks on an E36, and the plug is white, and that's EWS3 car. So I'm going to take this out here now. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to see these two fat wires, the two fattest wires here. One is green and black, and one is black with yellow. These two are going to get bridged together, and the starter's going to work. So what I'm here right now for, I'm just going to check for volts. I don't have I have the battery connected, but I don't have the key and the key turned on. So I'm positive that this red with yellow is constant live, right? Yes, it's got 12 volts at the red with yellow. So where's my snips? So we're not using EWS anymore, right? So we can just go ahead and cut this off because the EWS box doesn't need power. These use EWS deleted, so I'm going to cut that, right? And that's going to be my power to pin 16 of the OBD. Watch, the wires the same colour, red to yellow, red to yellow. And then I'm going to turn the key on, and I'm sure one of these blue wires is a switched live, but to confirm right now, I have the voltmeter on. I'm just going to run along it and make sure. See if I can jam that in there. And double check that it's got a connection. Yes, just double check that nothing else is live in here when the key is off. These two blues negative, so I've got to lean over and put the key on. Foot heaters, please. Right, so this small straight blue has power. Yep, small straight blue. And then for there, we're going to take this white and purple from here, and that's the OBD connections done. I'm going to solder these and I'll come back in a minute. Sorry guys, I've got a wee visitor there, a wee Welsh Dave coming to see me, my good mate. So I've cut and soldered the two starter wires. Yes, I've still to cover them, but they're soldered, not twisted together. So now we move on to OBD port. So we have 2 earths, okay, which is going to come up just here. You know, there's actually bolts on the chassis there, so I'm going to extend one earth and put an eyelet on it. So I'll have red yellow to red yellow, so constant live goes to pin 16 on the OBD port. I already have my heat shrinks on, so I'm going to just twist these together and I'll get ready to solder. Your white purple is going to go straight to white purple here from the EWS box. And then you don't have to use the switch live, but since it's there I just use it. So switch live is pin 1 and it's green, and it's just going to go to this small straight blue wire, which we confirmed was a switch live with a multimeter. So again, right, why are we putting an OBD port inside this E36? Because it's an E39 engine, we've lost the one inside the bay. So this has got to let us read codes, but it's going to also let us read codes between the engine and the chassis, because we're connected to the chassis OBD. You know, when you buy these standalone looms for M54s and stuff like that, you lose your OBD port altogether except from reading the engine. So when you have an ABS fault, then like you've no way finding out what sensor it is without changing them all, because you can't speak to the car. So the process that I went through to wire this up, I'll do the same process to wire up an M54, and I'll also come in here and wire up this OBD2 port. I also done this before with my M57, put an OBD port inside the car, and when you come and read the codes, you go into, for to read the engine, you one OBD port, but you come into it and you read the, you've got to read engine codes. You read the engine as a 320 or 330 diesel E46, and when you've got to read chassis codes, you just read it as a, say this is a 1998 E36, you read the chassis as a 1998 E36, and that's you, you're in. Right, so I don't need to show you how to solder these. I'm sure you guys know how to solder. If you didn't, then this is really, it's not a job for you, but this is what we do, and I'll show you. I've even went the extra mile on something. I'm going to make a wee zoom out. So I've went and got an E46, right, and I've drew around this, okay. This is the OBD port holder. So when all this is in at the end, you've got to be neat and tidy. Look at that, how's it saying? So it's not just got to be dangling about. I've actually went the extra mile to make it be like factory. Yeah, you didn't get one on the passenger side, but however, I'll let the customer know that it now has an OBD port, and this is where you read codes for everything. So I'm going to go ahead and solder this stuff. I'll just stop the video here. I've got still got the reverse lights to solder, but I covered that in the earlier part of the video. So I'm going to solder these 3 wires. The heat shrinks are on for to cover the wires. I'm going to put a heat shrink on that, and I just need to extend this one to be able to bolt onto there. I'll wrap my wires up nicely, and then I'll put the glove box back in. So I'm actually going to stop filming here, but I'll show you the end result when I'm finished, alright? This video is getting pretty long again, guys, I apologise, but you need to squeeze all the information into as little as possible, but there's like bits that you can't skip out, and I've really got to think about this when I'm telling you guys stuff, because I really don't want to miss any important parts for you guys and have yous climbing the rails thinking I've misinformed you and stuff like that. So it's not an easy game, but I try my best for you guys. Right, I'll be back shortly once I solder these, cover them up, tape them up, and get my earth up there. Right, so here we go. I put this cover in just to see how long the wires had to be and stuff like that. So plugged in, taped up nice, ends covered up, stuff like that. And time to put the glove box back in. I've still got the wires to solder and the gear stick hole just for the reverse lights. I can't start this car today because I've drained the oil and pushed it off the ramp just to finish this part, but I've got oil at home just to do oil in the morning and then go and wash the bay and give them it back. So I'm going to put the glove box back in, I'll show you the finished result, stuff like that, and I'm going to quickly do reverse lights while I'm here and I'll show you everything working. Right, so that's us back, the battery's on, the ignition is on. Turn the heaters off before it tries to drain the battery. So, boom, just like an E46. Plug him in. And let's go and read some codes. While that loads up a second, we'll take, I've left it in reverse. We'll have reverse lights on. And we'll just go through it and clear a couple of codes. series E36, 1998, she petrol, and she's now a 2.5 M52. I just kidding we're using that cable, it doesn't kind any different. Boom, we in. We'll have a list of codes because I mapped the ECU on the bench. Also had the math of it earlier. Let's just clear the codes. And it's probably got to keep calling back the tank vent valve because I blocked that. And the unknown fault code is due to the auto box, but it doesn't cause any issues at all. So that's us. Done. So the last thing I'm left to do now is to take I'll take the clocks off, but I've still got oil to put in it, so I'll take the clocks out tomorrow and remove the cog. Remove that cog light for the gearbox. It's looking for the gearbox, but it's not got a gearbox anymore, so I'll take it out reverse. Lights are off. That's me. I just have to take it outside and wash it tomorrow once I put some oil on it. So yeah, that's me done. Except oil tomorrow, and I'll wash the engine bay. I might video the engine bay wash. I might just video it and send it to TikTok, that one. In fact, TikTok gets quite a lot of views for stuff like that as well. As always, if you made it to the end, thanks very much for being here. If this video was helpful to you in any way, please like, share, subscribe. Plenty more to come. The next job, I'm either going to wire an M57. I keep getting asked questions about my M57 wire. So I done an E46 to start with, and people always ask me if they've used an E39. I'll have to talk them through wiring. So I think the next video is going to be this M57 2.5 from a 5 series, show the wiring on that to show the difference between a 3 series and 5 series. And then my next video after that is going to be my M57 E36 compact, which will be doing the same stuff. E36 engine loom to E46 engine loom and OBD port inside the car. So that'll be soon, coming soon, guys. But like I say, if the video was helpful to you, please like, share, subscribe, comment. I will get right back to you as soon as I can. Any issues that you've got or anything you're unsure about, I will help you as best as I can. Thanks guys, see you in the next video.